Hello, everybody. So let's start. So I'm Robert, and I'm here to talk about auditing ICO projects and the smart contracts. So at the beginning, let me give a short note about myself. I'm a computer scientist. I like programming, mostly in Go. Used to do more in OCaml. Now I'm a little bit forced to do more TypeScript. Normally, I'm specializing in doing all the stuff on Ethereum, Fabric, and doing a lot of bunch of data mining. On my daily basis, I work for research and development at SweetBridge, where we create an alternative economy with a goal to provide liquidity for the smart supply chains. And the magic is to do it for free with a working and fully backed and legal stablecoin mechanism. I'm also very active in a Swiss Romandie area, in this DevChain group in Geneva and Swiss Blockchain Association. And whenever I find the time and want to do something extra, I see audit. So let's roll the ball. So we are here basically to find out, how to do our best ICO, make the money, and do it for the glory, the beautiful woman, and have a nice life. So I guess when I hear and see everybody here talking, it's this is the intrinsic goal of it. And why not? Yes, everybody wants to be rich and have a nice life. So that's why we really want to make it sure that it works and that nobody will steal the money from us, and hence this code audit. But let's firstly have a look here, and then I will basically try to bash all of these ideas. So what is the process of auditing the code? Basically, it consists of several steps. So the most important one is assuring that it's correct. So we have the requirements, specification, and the goal of the auditing the code is that it does what it's supposed to do. It also has to be secure. It should follow the standards. So work in a way and an environment we expect to work. And if you look at this nice car, it's beautiful, isn't it? But it has a small default that these guys, they want to design how this car moves forward in their own way. And they will learn in a hard way that they are wrong. They just should use the normal wheels. So following the standards is important, especially when we communicate in a financial world. Then all these things about maintainability, being a future-proofed, robust, especially in the presence of errors. What does it mean, robust? Yes, it's to react, to follow, to think about it forward. And you know what? So that's about the code. But ICO and the smart contracts is much, much, much bigger thing. So let's really bash it, because that part I want to just really show you it's probably only 20% of what we should do. And if you think differently and if you follow these things, then you are wrong. So these guys, they want to make a toast, okay? And they did it. They make it working. They are satisfied. They made the job done, okay? So if you secure your smart contract, collect this million, and making sure, oh yeah, we got it, and now nobody will steal it from us, yes, we are there. But the system, as you see, is very fragile. It's so easy to break it out. And it's the same in the business. Getting the money, it's only the beginning of the process. And then we have all story, yes, to complete it, to deliver, to not being accused, to not go to the jail or whatever, yes? So we are living in a world with compliance, with legal structures, with government, and with people. And if you want to live, if you want to have a happy life with a glory and a nice woman, then we need to do a bit more than having the system which just works in a minimum way. So I want to turn a little bit from the code to the business. And I would love that you will agree with me that the audit process in ICO and all this fundraising is basically like a due diligence, like a normal thing, what we learned throughout all these years, how to raise the money. And raising the money is not about analyzing the code. Raising the money is about following the process. making sure that design, the feature set, think what we do is the right one, analyzing the customers, reviewing it, checking it that, oh, is it right? Does the customer really need it? Yes, so if I get this money and I give him this token, will be he satisfied to do it? Maybe this token after, like ICO, a few months later will just collapse because in fact, the way we did it, like an amazing idea, but nobody knows how to use it. And everything goes away. Keeping it safe. So like not only the smart contract, but the way how we interact with all the system. Designing the test cases, automation, deployment, like, we are engineers, yes, we don't do all this process manually. So there are many, many steps. And the smart code part is really only a fractional part. It's maybe important because it's at the beginning and it keeps the money. And here, maybe the slides will explain it perfectly. So let's look why this is important on the smart contract level, why we do it here on the ICO especially. Like we have many applications like me personally, when I did my first project and CEO asked me, oh yeah, now find an auditing company which will do the audit of all of your products. I said, what? I know what I do, yes, and we have a team, we can like do this XP testing and all of these things. And they, are you sure we want to do the auditing? So, but here is the difference. In normal applications, we don't deal directly that much with the money. We don't like get all of this money, and we don't build it in a way what blockchain provides us, which is a trust and immutability. We can't roll back simply. Yes, the system we are building, the trust we are providing, and the economy is very specific in the blockchain world. So that's why auditing is very important in general, yes, in this crypto projects, or let's call them the blockchain projects, because it's not only about the cryptography. And let me introduce a bit on compliance. Many projects see him as an enemy, and he looks strong, he looks angry, but you know what? It's like a policeman. We should be a friend with him. This guy is protecting the customers, so the people from who we take the money. This guy is protecting the environment, the economy, and actually, if you are a friend with him, it means that we do the things correctly. So it's a very important part also, yes, that in the auditing process, we look at this guy and we cooperate with him. Yes, we engage entities who are related to this guy. And this follows basically the standard classic due diligence process. So if you have an advisor or an auditing who is not targeting you to this process, then something is wrong. Well, it depends what you want to do. If you just want to have a 1 million and then go and escape to Bahamas or, I don't know, some other countries and have an easy life, maybe you don't need it. But if you want to build something sustainable, then make a photo of the slide and go through the list. Just to maybe highlight a few parts here is that basically classical analysis of the customer, of his needs, validation, looking at the competitors, checking, like the money is not, I would like to argue that the money in a business is not the most important part. The money will come when you do the sustainable business, yes? You will be able to basically follow with it. But making the business working is more difficult part. And this is what actually also audits should provide. Finally, like what is the history? So we are a bunch of people creating a new project and expecting to get the millions. Are we able basically to handle it? That's a question. What are the expectations of it? Yeah, so of course, yes, the expectation is to live in a glory. I don't want to give you the money if you want to live in a glory. Yes. And the risks. What are the risks from the project we are building? From the money we are giving to you. I'm giving to you, some other investor will give to you. And lastly, technology. Whenever I was talking today here with some people and yesterday, believe me, I have a really bad impression that they think that the world or the ICO finishes or stops at Ethereum. So usually Ethereum is a safe bet, but is it the right one? It's like going back to like traditional world and thinking about, oh yeah, we can create or build all the systems in the world using I don't know, like a file-based storage system. Like do the database by our own, as storing the JSON documents as a files in the hard drive. Well, maybe it will work. Depends on the business. But there are all this bunch of problems as scalability, as cost, performance, and many of the things. So there is no single system which works for all the problems. Nebula tries to find it out. We will see, I hope. Good luck. But I'm coming from the perspective that there are usually there is no single hammer which will work for all the problems. So really have a look. Like due diligence should also say, why are you ask the question, why are you doing this in Ethereum, or why are you doing this with I don't know, waiting for our chain and putting your business risk for something which doesn't exist or doesn't work yet. Another thing for auditing is I came across this word and I very like it. So it's a new concept of managing the company, and it comes back to again building the team and with advisors, developers, business, marketing, and so on and so on. The idea of the holacracy is that we believe that we are experienced and we can self-manage ourselves, being these circles and so on. However, I hope that some of you learn that this requires an experience. This requires already a strong connections. So if you have an advisors, just for the name, it might work for completing some stage of the ICO, but what's next? And here, I think that's the last slide about this business part, is what I really like to highlight. So I put VS, yes, versus. So we have a money and a customer. Most of the ICOs focus, I want to get this 10 millions. Yeah, that's my focus. Yeah, please give it to me. I have amazing marketing. I made an audit of my smart contract. I make it secure, don't worry. Nobody will steal it. You will have your tokens. And whereas when you go to or try to build a new startup, everybody teaches you, yes, target the customer, look at the customer, and if the customer will be happy, he will happily share the money with you, and you will grow the business. So making the sustainable business is not about getting this 10 millions, but building the user group. So make sure that the advisors, the audit you are looking for will provide you all the compound and the complex expertise. Maybe not a single one. It's not about okay, you need to find a company which does everything. Usually, so yeah, I forgot, I was supposed to give you one example. In another project I was doing, we had this and also an audit, and there was a company, and they also, that was 1 year ago already, so pretty at the beginning of this huge ICOs, and the CTO at this time, he wanted to say that, find out a company who I was doing an Oracle just for one contract, which was interacting with a smart contract, and find out the company which will do the audit for a Go code and have a proven track of records for doing both Go code and audits with a smart contract audits. Well, okay, hard job. And again, yes, it's not the point to find the one who provides everything. Yes, it's like with advisors. Yes, probably if you want to aim bigger, then you would like to have an advisor, many advisors for different directions. So let's go back maybe to what was written on the plan, on the agenda, smart contracts. I would like to give you here a few tips and look at problems we face. were really like coding this, what I said, only 20% of the case what we really should audit and secure when asking for the money. So first thing, comment. I know that sometimes I just have a bad day or too lazy, and whenever I review the code, I just do it very quickly, and okay, I don't like it, or maybe I will just bash the syntax, or like being a human linter, and say, oh yeah, it's like this is ugly, rather than like really explaining and checking. So especially on the ICO, or sorry, on the smart contract, you really want to explain what are the edge cases, how the user can deal with it. So the auditor and the team member who will review the code will really understand it and will build like his next feature on top of that with a clear check. Then there are a bunch of static analysis tools. Who heard about static analysis? Who used this? Wow. Who used a static analysis tool? Oh, not bad. So probably you heard, or I know what's your experience with Ethereum, but there are many languages working on AVM. Now there is this EVASM and QUASM on the way, so we will have tons of tons. But the most popular still, and where all this research is happening for the interface, on the interface level, protocol level, is Solidity. And many people don't like Solidity because it's not friendly for the static analysis. It's hard to catch the bugs for the human and even harder for the machine. So there are a few tools which handles some subtle statements like smart check and orient. There is another one which is still in research, Gasper. There's even a nice paper about it on ArcFix. So we'll have a look at it. But really, it's must-have. Then patterns. Especially in Solidity, because it's hard to detect what's wrong, what's okay. I will have a short talk about it later on. Learn the patterns. There are some certain patterns what basically should be a default thing. So for example, like the withdraw pattern, like the most obvious one. Yeah? Some people just don't think about it. Another best practice, prepare yourself for a failure. There is no way in the world, yes, where the failure is unavoidable. Yes, either you will use your private key, your team will use a private key, some customers start complaining, customer lose the access to the platform, he invested a lot, and shit happens, okay? Prepare for that, educate the people, educate your users, educate your team. You don't want to end up that some guy was storing the passwords on a desktop file called passwords. And it happens, right? And stay up to date. Yeah, so every day there's some, okay, not every day, but once for a while there's a new set of guidance, new set of breaches found out in the systems, not only the smart contracts, but in general, how we deploy, how we work with it. Testing. Nice observation. In few audits I was doing, there was literally 0 tests. Or there was a test copy-paste from a Zeppelin library, but they didn't touch it. They didn't modify it. They didn't test the use case they were implementing. They didn't make anything for like their modification. 0. And there were 2 cases when it was failing because of that. So like a team updated. There was this tiny update on the contract. It was a bit stupid, okay? I mean, sorry, not stupid, but very primitive. But again, what's the goal of, like providing something to the people, asking them for $1 million or whatever, and publishing the code which doesn't pass the tests? Even though, okay, yes, we only made a small change. Yeah, but what's the goal? Then, you don't test. And then the testing process itself. How often, I found myself very often, that I just, okay, this is function. I start writing the function, execute it, And then what happens? Okay, I know that I need to write a test, but I have already an experience from what I'm running, and basically I follow or I encode my execution process in a test. So basically I just not hard code, but the test case I'm putting down into the code is basically the one I just ran. And then, oh, it works. Yes, of course it works because I just ran it. Voila, okay, happy. I can go to the next feature. Yes. So where is this TDD, BDD, and all this test evangelizers? Really. Big projects, those successful, they have a good test coverage. If you just look on the Etherscan, take some random code, try if you will find it successful. Many of the ICOs, by the way, they don't publish their code. But it's a common thing, unfortunately, unless, at least from my experience, that there is not enough tests. And please, don't follow this process. Make it better. Code traps. Oh no, I don't have much time. So probably you've heard about it, like on Ethereum, the execution process, there is no concurrency, but there is a thing like a re-entrance, which also has a subtle traps. Internal calls. There is a difference, and especially from the performance point of view, from the gas point of view, how we call the internal functions and external functions. Why sometimes we should, write like annotate the function as a public or external. The storage layout. So something I had a discussion. Yes, like Ethereum uses a storage layer based on the probability. And there are also some certain attack vectors. Gas. So it's so easy, basically, yes, to run out of gas and put the contract in a deadlock. Or like not fulfilling, like maybe not in a deadlock, but only some certain operations which could happen. Edge cases. And the last part. Sometimes it happened that there was a smart contract designed in a way where core team could manipulate it. They could manipulate the price, especially during the ICO. Yes, for example, if you have like a growing price, so let's say that, we got some early investors, we secured them, and then we already have some money, so we will quickly buy let's say the pre-sale, and making the users also like, oh, I'm missing out buying, but the pre-sale was buy by the core team, or there are certain order conditions which may impact the price. So not even during the ICO, but after ICO. Who heard about batch overflow? Okay, so you're up to date. So this is something I think 3 or 4 days old. Is it? I think that's this week. So a few. Yes, last week, but we are weekend. So a few cryptocurrencies, they stopped at the beginning of this week. Few cryptocurrencies stopped accepting the ERC20 deposits. Because what? They didn't make tests on edge cases. They didn't check. Basically, the batch overflow here, the problem is with the arithmetical overflow. So when you have this transfer, you need to add and subtract from one account to another, right? And there were certain bugs where basically the total supply could be manipulated. Interface traps. Okay, very quickly, I want to highlight only the way how we change the state. So the state usually is changed by interaction with other contract or an oracle. So how the oracle interacts with it? Oracle has to have to authenticate himself with a key, right? How do we store the key? Is it secure? Yes. How we deploy these things? Role-based access control. Yes. Who have the access to that? Are we using multi-signature wallets? Upgradability. It's not a golden, like designing a contract for upgradability is not always the right thing to do. Yes. Simple things should say simple, and remember, blockchain is there for the trust, not that there is a way that we can, change or manipulate it. So sometimes it's desired, sometimes it's not desired. Transaction ordering dependence. This is a nice thing. So you know that in Ethereum or most of the blockchains, yes, we collect the blocks, the transactions, build a block out of it, and commit it to the main chain. But it's the miner who is collecting it, and we can manipulate the order, yes, which transaction comes first from the mempool. And there are, again, might be some, especially when there's an ordering in place, like for example in exchanges. And unfortunately, we can't easily avoid it. In some cases, we just can't avoid it. Infrastructure, same week, this week, last week, 6 a.m. California time. What was that? 4 days ago. So there was a hack on my Ether wallet. $150 million worth of Ether have been stolen just by manipulating IPFS. So Amazon, they claim that that was the IPFS failure. It's hard to detect, okay? Probably there will be some investigation. So even though like you do everything perfectly, and you don't, so this is basically the concept of educating your customers. Yes, make sure that your customers use the right place, right website, right wallets. In case of this web wallets, if you don't have a hard wallet, it's really better to use an application or an extension which is hard to manipulate and avoid this masquerade. Okay, I'll quickly talk about that. Oh yes, last thing, very, very important. So this next month, GDPR obligations will be in power in Europe. And I'm very curious how many projects are really conforming to that or taking care about it. Big projects, big companies, yes. In our company, we're like designing these things for the GDPR for already a few months, making sure that everything is tip-top. In the ICOs, a bunch of these random ICOs who just wants to raise the money and claim that, oh yeah, we will do the KYC process by ourselves because we don't want to pay for the agency who's doing it. Okay, fair enough, we don't maybe want to share the money, but you have to know what are you doing. So a question, so how to know if you need an audit? If you ask yourself this question, then unfortunately I must say you need one. Like me, myself, 2 years ago, I thought, no, come on, a bunch of guys, getting the money from the company instead of building the team. But if you don't have a good team, or not experienced enough, didn't follow like all the company building, business, fundraising, securing the infrastructure, then it's better to have some good advisors who will, at certain cases, detect where you are short and ask for the audit. If I have still a second, I can present you, leave with one small puzzle. So there is a bug in this code, and maybe somebody can then catch me on the corridor and find it out. So if I may just cut probably like a few seconds. So there's a bunch of requirements. It's basically a very, very simple ICO contract with, so the most traditional one, but here we have the withdraw where the founding team can withdraw the money. And there is one rule. How does it work here? Here, right? So here is the one rule that the founding team can only withdraw 1 Ether, not more than 1 Ether plus the amount they withdraw before. Yes? And the minimum interval between 2 withdrawals is 1 day. I guess this is, and there is one just check that it should happen after ICO, yes, whatever day we put there. So basically the concept is that we want to limit the founding team to not withdrawing everything at once. So at the beginning, of course, it's 0, yes, what they withdraw. So at the first day, they can maximum withdraw 1 Ether, next day 2 Ethers, next day 3, or maybe I'll be wrong.
What happens when the balance is similar to total supply?
Sorry?
What happens when
Yeah, maybe I didn't say that. So let's say this is like a, so that, where is this total supply? Okay, so this is the global variable. So at the beginning, So the balance is we collect the ether. Okay, so at the beginning, total supply equals balance. Yeah, so at the beginning, the maximum amount we can withdraw is 1 ether. Yeah, so then we have this check, like, okay, the amount can't be bigger than 1 ether. And it's like that. Oh, I still have 10 minutes. Oh, sorry. I thought that I have only half an hour. So I was rushing up with this. Okay, so maybe somebody would like to follow this exercise. I must say that it's very, very subtle. So basically, there is a catch where the founding team can basically cheat the ICO and get all the money at once at the beginning. So let's say that there is a way how to cheat this code without knowing all the rest. Like if you have the assumption that, let's say, if you trust me that this is just basic standard ICO, where the founding team can take all the ether at the beginning. So that's a tip. Oh yeah, maybe I didn't say that. So total supply is basically, so we have a very simple ICO where you get one my coin, let's say Robert coin, for 1 ether. Yeah, this is happening after the, so the withdrawal process is happening after the ICO is finished and you can't change the total supply. Like a classic one, right? So you have stop and overflow, sorry, what?
The amount, because it's unsigned end, right? But basically, what are the types of supply?
Yes, it's the same unit, 256. So, anyone or?
And they set the balance to be 1 at the beginning and then send amount to total supply.
Yes. Yes, that's the catch. So, if we cheat that the balance at the beginning is different than the total supply, then here we have the overflow. So this will go to like a massive number, right? Before the
Basically, you're overflowing it and you're going to get all the
before the ICO, right? And you know, like it's hard to detect it, right? So I mean, this code looks perfect. I mean, it has these checks and so on and so on. But you know, easy way, easy pattern, how to avoid these things is to use the safe math. So if somebody, even though try to make these checks at the beginning that there is really not possible to send the ether, or having sure that there is no ether at this address waiting for the ICO, then basically the best way is just to use the safe math. Okay, I was too a little bit fast. Let me only give you a quick comment here. So I told about the oracles, I told about the data storage of ChainDB. Most of the processing for the blockchain, like if you build something serious or a bigger, yes, there's always an interaction with an outside world. And usually when you do a long-term business, you want to store some information on a database. So this is again a security trap. Because how you do it, how you get this information, what special features comes from interacting with it, how you make sure that you don't double store some records or events then for the analysis, and how you protect that some data will not go away, the private data, and so on. Okay, questions?
Please repeat what was the catch?
Uh,
What was the catch?
Okay. So think about it like, okay, this is the standard case. Yes? Like I give you, if you send me, I'm a smart contract. If you send me 1 Ether, I will give you 1 token. Yes, let's say 1 rubber token. So math works, correct. But if at the beginning, the contract before the ICO starts, the contract already have some Ether, then the address, yes. So contract itself has the balance of Ether, has already the some balance, positive balance. Then this amount is bigger than the total supply, and if it's bigger than 1 Ether, yes, there will be an overflow. So this will, let's say if this is 1.1, then this will be like if this balance at the beginning is 1.1 Ether before the ICO, then after ICO this will be a huge number, like 2 power. Okay, for the simplicity, it will be 2 Ethers. Then the value of this will be 2 power 256 minus 1.
You're assuming rate 1, Ether versus token.
Yes. Yeah, that was the condition. Like that's for simplicity, right? Any more? I like this picture. I want to save it here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.